My name is Salvador Cabrales. First of all, welcome to Astilleros Cabrales. This business was founded by my grandfather in 1946. He began as an informal carpenter, and everything just blossomed into a full-service boatyard. I am a third-generation boat builder, and Rocky Point is where this business is located. We're geographically located on the northeastern portion of the Sea of Cortez, not too far away from the Colorado River Delta. And basically, over the years, this town has changed quite a bit. It's changed in the sense that this harbor used to be more natural. It used to be a natural estuary. We used to be surrounded by pines, is what I like to say to people. Even though this is an arid desert, it used to be surrounded by pines. And these pines were harvested, when I say pines, they're really shrubs. They do have pine cones, they do have pine needles, but they're not really pines. So anyways, what happens is that they would harvest all of these pines to build all of their fishing boats. And what they would do is they would basically look at a pine, look for a particular shape, and they would harvest that particular branch to make it look like a part of the chime of a boat, or a part of a bulkhead, bulwark, anything they needed, they could see in a tree. They'd harvest it and bring it back. And with time, these forests started to get further and further away. And more or less around this time, in the 60s and 70s, the first steel boats were being created. And my grandfather, while he enjoyed building steel boats, he feels that they stole a lot of the romantic ideals of building a ship. And what ended up happening is that you launch these steel boats, and since they were so robust, so great, so long-lasting and strong boats, they started crushing the old wooden boats, because they make direct contact with these boats in the harbor, and basically they were just killing the old wooden boats. And to this day, we no longer have any wooden boats in the harbor for that particular reason. And my father took over this business in the 70s, and he took it further and beyond, made it grow, made it healthier, and that's what I plan to do in the short term.
What is your customer base roughly? Where do they come from, or do you build for out of other countries and customers from other countries?
I would say that 99% of our construction projects are for Mexican nationals. They are for industrial fishing applications. And we do a very small percentage of pleasure boats for construction. I think we've only done, from keel up, from the ground up, I think we've only done 1 to 2, maybe even 5 boat tops throughout 75 years that we've been in business. And but our bread and butter is industrial fishing boats. We do a lot of steel. We do a lot of mostly steel. We do a lot of sandblasting, welding, and that's our industrial customer background. For our pleasure boat backgrounds, you'd be surprised. We get more Germans than any other customer. Between Germans and Canadians, that's half of our clientele right there. Surprisingly, I mean, we're very far away from Germany. We're very far away from Canada. I get a lot of folks from Washington, a lot of folks from Seattle, but Americans really make about 25% of our blue water cruiser crowd here. Surprisingly, it's kind of interesting. So yes, lots of Germans, lots of Canadians, some Americans, and maybe 1 or 2 Mexicans. There are Mexican nationals that do blue water cruising. So yes, that's our customer base.
And when did you start offering services to cruisers?
I don't think we've ever really stopped offering services to cruisers. One of the earliest memories of a full-time blue water cruiser that we serviced was this wooden boat that my grandfather built for Buenaventura was the name of the boat. believe the couple, I don't remember if they were what nationality, if they were American or Canadian. Highly likely they were American. And it was a wooden powerboat, and it circled the globe twice. And this is in the mid-50s. So that's the earliest memory I have of working with cruisers. Of course, that wasn't me personally, but that was my grandfather doing business with blue water cruisers. And I'm sure we did maintenance before that point with cruisers.
And what kind of services do you offer, and what is your expertise and specialization if you have them?
I would say the bread and butter of this business is hoisting boats and doing a quick turnaround maintenance, which is anything that has to do with bottom paint, anything that has to do with sandblasting, painting, metal. Metal is a big. We're big experts on metal, and we do work a lot with fiberglass, stainless steel, and I think we can just about do it all. One of the weirdest projects we had was sandblasting a cement boat, a cement sailboat, a ferro cement catch, and it was interesting.
Do you see yourself in the future, now related to cruising and cruisers? Do you see any services you would like to offer in the future?
For cruisers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would really like to build a really nice paint booth, a really nice mobile shelter that I can build around boats, and start becoming more and more of an expert with regards to paint. We work a lot with all grip, and we see that we're getting better each year. So I would like to be a little bit better with that.
And I saw that you offer services too for storing boats, and that is interesting for cruises as well.
That's right.
Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that.
That's correct. We do have 5 acres of storage that we can accommodate most cruisers and their needs. We are only 1 hour away from the American border, and we are in a hurricane harbor. In the past 30 years, we've had 2 hurricanes, and they've been mild tropical storms. In reality, they weren't true hurricanes. So we're north of the 28th parallel, so we're insurance friendly, and that's it.
So the reality is people could come, because now a lot of people go to Guayamas and to La Paz and store their boats there over the summer. They could very well come up here, leave their boats here, and then start the cruising season.
That's correct. We get a lot of customers who come here for hurricane season, store their boats, buy a car, drive around the U.S. and Canada, and make another vacation of it, and get to know this part of the continent. And when October comes around, they come back, they get on their boats, and keep cruising, keep seeing the world.
That's what we did, right? We went to Phoenix a couple times. That was only 4 hours or 4.5 hours drive, and we went to Las Vegas. The Grand Canyon is right there. So, yep.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit on what Puerto Peñasco can offer for cruisers as a destination services? We started that already. The safety, supplies, hotels, restaurants. Can you describe Peñasco a little bit to us?
We have a lot of hotels. We have a very strong tourist infrastructure. We have an international airport as well, and we're a full service tourist community here, so we can definitely accommodate any needs, and we're very safe, very, very safe. I know Mexico has a bad reputation sometimes, but I feel those are isolated pockets in other parts of the country, and I personally feel very safe here.
There's quite a lot of police presence, and I believe those are military trucks too that sometimes drive through here. I think there's a focus in this community to keep Peñasco really safe, although it's in Sonora, and Sonora doesn't have that sometimes great reputation in the U.S., right?
Yeah, I think if you really wanted to take a look at some of the ports that are pretty dangerous, without mentioning any names, they get a lot of traffic, they get a lot of flow of people coming in, coming out, and Rocky Point's still pretty isolated geographically. We have the Sea of Cortez. We're at the very northeastern part of the Sea of Cortez, and it just makes it pretty isolated. So for that reason, I feel it helps with a lot of unknown presences. We don't get people that we don't know. It's still a small town around here, and I think that's a big factor of why it's pretty safe here.
How many inhabitants?
60,000.
What is the surrounding Sea of Cortez like, the anchorages and harbors? Could you describe that a little bit, the context of where you started that already a little bit with the northern part of the sea?
Yes. Geographically, we're located on the northeastern portion of the Sea of Cortez. I think we're probably about 30 to 40 miles south of the Colorado River Delta. I always like to remind people that we're at the Colorado River Delta, the same river that forms the Grand Canyon and that's contained by the Hoover Dam and runs through Yuma is the same river that is the same river delta that's not far away from here. And just geographically, we're also close to El Pinacate, which we're very proud that is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I believe it's got around 300 dormant volcanoes, dormant or dead, I should say. And it's kind of a real neat place. Apollo mission landings were practiced there before the lunar mission happened. And as far as the anchorages are concerned, I'm not a blue water cruiser myself. I do have a sailboat, but we have Bird Island about 25 miles from here. We have San Felipe 80 miles west of here as you cross the Sea of Cortez. And that's it. I think if you wanted to powerboat all the way to Baja, you're only 80 miles away. I'd say about 24 hours away from most anchorages of interest, like Bay of LA and the main islands around here. So.
Because the anchoring here is kind of difficult because of the tide, and I think we should get into that as well a little bit. The tide differences and what it does to the harbor and your services as well. People need to know that, I think.
That's a very good point, actually. 24 feet tide variance from peak low tide to peak high tide. And for most haul outs, you have to time them not perfectly, but you have about a 3-hour window for haul ins and haul outs. So it's always good to keep in mind. And those two windows happen twice a day, and you have to keep that in mind. It's either at some point during the day or some point during the night.
That's for haul outs, but when you come in as a cruiser, there's always a clearance of how many feet in the harbor that you can come in even at low tide.
Harbor,
because we checked it out before we came, but we're kind of a little bit nervous coming in at low tide.
Okay. Yeah, what happens is that this harbor has been recently dredged, so it's I believe you can come in and out if you have a draft of 9 feet, 8 feet on your boat. And I think you can, don't quote me on this, but I believe you can actually go in and out of the channel anytime, at any point of the tide, which it wasn't so about a year ago, where you had to time it with the tides and be sure you were coming into the channel with an ascending tide.
But it's important for cruisers to know. We didn't know that so well. We tried to get information, and then we waited a little bit outside, and before coming in, we have a draft of 5.5, and we had about maybe 2 feet, 3 feet on our keel when we came in. So, and that was before dredging. But that's an interesting thing too, because you share the harbor with the shrimping boats in the summer before they leave, and the tide actually cleans up the harbor all the time. in and out. So that's another aspect too for people to come.
Yeah, that's right. I think people have to realize that this harbor is not very large, and it's shared with industrial shrimp boats. So just keep that in mind.
Exactly. Went into that already a little bit, the surrounding landscape attractions, proximity to an airport, and to the U.S. and the bus stations and the.
Maybe I can elaborate a little bit on that. We are roughly 3.5 hours away from Tucson and Phoenix as well. The international airport here in Rocky Point is 20 minutes away, and we're pretty well connected with solid highways, safe highways, and you can get access to by car. We are about 6 hours from Ensenada on car, 6 hours from Guaymas, San Carlos, 4 hours from Hermosillo, and by boat I think you're only a day and a half from Guaymas and San Carlos.
And then I just read 5.5 hours from San Diego.
Yeah, 5.5. Yeah.
That might be interesting for people as well who would like to have work down here.
That's true. Yeah.
So that would be. I'm thinking now to go a little bit into your hobby and your sailing, and maybe people can meet you in this way as well. If
Sure.
we have covered everything about the business aspect.
Sure. Okay.
Your sailing background and your own boat, if you want to tell us a little bit about it, and if it is your dream boat or which one you would like, and your experience of outfitting your own boat.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can talk about this for a couple hours, 4 hours, no problem. But I'm going to try to keep it short. I rescued a sailboat here at the yard that a customer abandoned not long ago, and this was a 39-foot Erickson, 1978, fiberglass, and it's got a 6-foot draft and about a 12-foot beam. And basically, I've been teaching myself everything about sailboats on this boat. It's been about 5 years, and I've been doing about 50% of the work on it. I do hire people. I do hire experts, people that know more than myself. But at the same time, it's I understand the culture that people want to be able to work on their own boats, as I like to work on my own boat as well. I've rebuilt just about everything on the boat. I've painted it, and I think it's time I get new sails. It's got a Genoa 135, and a couple of years ago I took a trip to Sausalito with my wife to take sailing lessons, and we took the barefoot cruising and level 1, level 2, and sailing is a passion of mine. I really like it a lot. I really share that with most of my customers. I really like that. So I plan on doing it from now on. And I had a customer here last year who built his own catamaran. And that really has inspired me to someday be able to build my own. A solid 45-foot cat. I think deep down inside I identify as a cat guy, not a monohull. And yeah, I really like the shallow draft. I really like their speed. I really like their space. And I'd really like to be able to build my own. And that's it. That would be my dream boat.
You know, it's interesting for cruisers too, to work with somebody who has a passion for it. And I think you told me before outside of this interview that you said that by working on your own boat, I kind of understood what cruisers need, and you accommodate that by letting people work on their own boats in the yard. And maybe you can talk a little bit more about that with you.
That's right. Not only am I the president, I'm also the client, right? And I do speak sailboat. I do understand their needs, and I try to accommodate as well. So yeah.
And people can work on their own boats, and you lend services when they need it, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Exactly.
Yep. We do have bathrooms and facilities, and you can store your own boat here. You can live aboard. You can do your own work, and that's it.
And you have very good safety.
Yeah. We have security also. Very important to have security.
Yep.
And we have a full service metal shop here. We work a lot with sheet metal, angle iron, any kind of iron we work with. We have a machine shop as well, very big lathes. We also have sandblasting outfits and paint, wood shop. We have just about everything you need to keep your boat ship shape.
And do you have specialized carpentry?
Yeah.
So people can work on their interior carpentry if they wanted to in their boats?
That's correct.
That would be great. And the other aspect is about customer service you like to provide.
Yeah, I like to be in charge of all of these projects personally. I like to stay on top of things, and customer service is important for me. I've been learning throughout the years as I've worked here that it's one of the key aspects of any business is to stay on top of customer service. I'm very confident it's very critical for any business to survive. So.
Yeah, thank you for your customer service, because that's what we experienced. The promptness of emails, the availability in phone calls. That's very important, especially if you leave your boat somewhere. That there's a really open flow of communication, and it builds the trust with the customer. So it's very good.
Excellent.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit how it is for cruisers when they come here and they need parts, and how you can help them, and how the situation is with sending things and getting things from the U.S. and so on.
Okay. We work a lot with all sorts of products worldwide. We work a lot with San Diego Marine Exchange. We work with Copper Coat. We work with a lot of name brands that are familiar to a lot of cruisers. And I understand there's a logistics issue with bringing products from the States into Mexico. And typically what we end up doing is that since we're only 1 short hour away from the border, we use a gas station as an outpost, as an address. And anything from UPS, USPS, any kind of shipping service delivers to this gas station, and they charge a small fee for holding your packages. And you can have paint delivered there. You can have any kind of product you can have delivered there, and you can go there, but either have us pick it up, or you can go pick it up and bring it back into Mexico. On one of your trips up to Phoenix, you can just drive by. It's on the way, and you bring your products into Mexico.
Not a problem. Easy.
There's not a fee that we don't charge people for bringing your own product. We encourage it, but we can also order products for anybody. I want to invite everybody to come experience our services, because I believe we have a lot to offer. We have a lot to offer geographically. I believe we have a lot to offer in expertise, and anybody who comes here, I'm very confident will be happy with the services we provide. So.
And like Puerto Penasco too.
Yeah, Puerto Penasco has a lot to offer, definitely. So please come see us.